In this video, we're going to look at the standard of breaking apart a fraction into a sum of smaller fractions with like denominators. So let's not waste any time, let's get into this. So let's say I have the example of 2/3. Now, what can I break 2/3 into? How can I break it down into its parts? Well, if I had a 1/3 and another 1/3, added those together, I'd get 2/3. Now, anytime you have a 1 as your numerator, that is referred to as a unit fraction. Since unit is singular and a 1 is singular, 1/3 would be a unit fraction. Are there any other ways you can break apart 2/3? Well, that's probably about it. Let's look at another example where there's multiple ways. Let's look at 3/4. Well, once again, I could break 3/4 into unit fractions as well. That'd be 1/4 plus another fourth plus a third fourth to get me 3/4. So this would be 3/4 would be the sum of these smaller fractions that all have common denominators. Well, 3/4 can also be broken down to, what if I started with 2/4? What would I have to add to it to get to 3/4? Well, it would be another 1/4. So I broke 3/4 down into a group of 2/4 and another fraction of 1/4. Let's look at another example. A little more complex here. Say we have the fraction of 5/6. Well, for starters, I can break it into unit fractions. 1/6 plus a second plus a third sixth plus a fourth sixth plus a fifth sixth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give me 5/6. Well, I could also break that down into, if I started with a 2/6, what can I add to that? Well, what if I added another 1/6, a 1/6, a 1/6, and a 1/6? That's too much. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How about breaking it down into this? If I start again with 2/6, I could add 3/6, and that also gets me 5/6. So there's multiple ways to break a fraction into the sum of smaller fractions with like denominators. The important thing is to make sure all of your numerators add up to the beginning numerator. So 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1 add up to 5. 2, 1, 1, and 1 add up to 5. And then 2 and 3 add up to 5. Let's have you do a couple on your own. So let's take 3/5. After you write down 3/5, I want you to pause the video and I want you to find at least 3 ways, or let's just start with 2. Let's start with 2 ways you could break down 3/5. Okay, so now that after you've tried it, we could break it into unit fractions. 1/5 plus another fifth plus another fifth. And hopefully you found out you could break it into a second way. Say we have 2/5 plus another 1/5. Okay, hopefully you got those right. If not, talk with your neighbors, see what you can come up with. Let's do one more example. Let's do the example of 4/7. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video now. I want you to work out at least 3 ways you could break down 4/7. Okay, let's see what you came up with. I'm going to start with my unit fractions. That's always a guarantee. So 4 1/7 get me 4/7. What if you started with a 2/7? Could you add on to that another 2/7? Well, sure. 2/7 and 2/7 is 4/7. A third one. Could you start out with 2/7 and then add 2 unit fractions? Absolutely. And maybe even a third one. A fourth one, or an extra one that you did, maybe starting with 3 sevenths and added 1 seventh. So any of those ways would work. The idea is to make sure that your numerators on your smaller fractions all add up and equal the beginning numerator.